I said that already. So can a multifamily unit also have ADU, JDUs on property?
Yes, so if there's an existing multifamily dwelling, that is when up to 8 detached ADUs, but no more than the number of dwelling units is permitted. Similarly, the conversion ADUs on a multifamily property, that is only if it's existing. So portions, non-livable portions of those multifamily buildings can be converted into ADUs as long as the number of resulting ADUs is not more
I
than
don't know what you mean by a
25%.
non-livable situation.
It would be spaces such as a garage or
I see,
storage
okay.
rooms,
Things that
like that.
aren't homes.
So you can't convert multifamily units into ADUs, but non-livable portions of multifamily buildings can be converted to ADUs.
Okay, I think I got that. Okay. Thank you.
What else? So let me ask a specific question about the proposed changes. I don't know if you have the staff report in front of you, but on it, it has, on the chapter 9.11 for accessory dwelling units, it has, I'm looking at the one that has red lines, which my understanding is that was what went to the Planning Commission on January 21st, and then there's a red text, and then there's some green text, which are additional changes that were specifically, I guess, for this law change.
That's correct.
So on one of them, under section 9.114030, administration D1, there's a bunch of red text speaking about previously unpermitted ADUs or JADUs. And where most of this discussion was about 800 square feet, it's been changed to 750 square feet of livable space. So why is that?
Correct.
Doesn't
That is,
seem to match the presentation.
I did, I guess, leave out that point, but that is another one of the changes that's required for Senate Bill 543. It included changes to the impact fees and the definitions of space for ADUs.
And that limit is 750 feet, like it says now,
That's
not
correct.
800? It was previously thought to be 800, but it was changed to 750. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so that's, again, required by the new Senate Bill 543.
Yeah, and that's the one that just became effective January 1st of 2026.
Okay, well, that's got to make it extra confusing in your office to try to figure that out when everything's geared on 800, less than 800, and this one is on no more than 750. So, thank you, legislature. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is, it's really just information for me. Does the state or the county or the city, do we have ADU plans available that people can, I thought that was,
I know Desert
make
Hot
sure.
Springs did when
I know.
Eric first was coming on board, yeah.
so it would make, it's supposed to, the whole process to facilitate people to make it easier for them, and that was, I just wanted to make sure that that
We
was
have
happening.
pre-approved plans.
Yeah,
We have the pre-approved plans, and I would just add that in 2025, 9 building permits were issued using those
Okay,
pre-approved
good,
plans.
thank you, great.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Are there any public comments on this item?
We have none, Mayor.
All right, then I will close the public hearing and I'll return the matter back to council for additional questions, comments, or action. Does someone want to move approval of the zoning ordinance amendment?
I will move approval for the zoning ordinance amendment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Please vote.
Sorry, I have to get rid of like 10 screens, so just bear with me. I'll get there.
Okay, motion carries. All ayes. And now, Mayor, I'll go ahead and read the title of the ordinance.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City, California, amending Chapter 9.114 of Title 9 Planning and Zoning of the Cathedral City Municipal Code to conform with the new state legislation regulating accessory dwelling units.
All right, is everyone okay to continue? this point?
Yes.
We had a couple little breaks, so. All right.
Thank you.
Then we're going to move to our legislative calendar. Item 5A, the Cathedral City Community Center feasibility study final presentation by Group for Architecture. City Manager,
Actually, Mayor, I'm going to make some opening comments on this one.
thank you.
So thank you for holding out. So when we had our last meeting, council, we had a discussion about the 9 sites that staff have been studying and gave the council an update on that. During that discussion, the council asked staff, along with our consultant, to look at and provide some additional information about 4 specific sites, and that included the commercial site known as the Old Burlington Building, the commercial site known as kind of collectively as the Old Walmart Building, the library site, which is city-owned, and then the properties near the Salvation Army. Don Merks from Group 4 Architecture is going to walk the City Council through that additional information. And then since we've met last, I have had the opportunity to meet with the Salvation Army and the DRD, and I will provide you with an update on that conversation about some potential partnerships with the Salvation Army for some use of their current facilities. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dawn to provide the updated presentation.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Pleasure to be back here and bring some additional information and a summary of our feasibility study to you tonight. Again, in light of the lateness of this evening, I will try and be brief and succinct and really just try and cover new information or summarize things that I think are really going to set you up and position you to move on to the next phase of this project. And so we'll do the project overview, summarize building program and phasing, looking at site options and program strategies, update you on some financial analysis, and leave it open for discussion and next steps. National planning standards, we didn't really cover some of this last time, and I know we have a new council member since we first saw you. So really looking at, in terms of the recommendations for the square footage, to be based on national standards, but really have them be customized to the Southwest and to where we are here in Cathedral City. And so when we look at community centers across the country and specifically in California and recreation centers, you'll see a range in square footage. And this is really to provide the needed square footage for programs, services, and activities. Community centers typically range 20 to 35,000 square feet. If you add in that recreation component or a gymnasium, that grows by about 10,000 square feet to 30 to 45,000 square feet. Themes from our great community outreach, which was about 2,000 people when we count everyone involved, included accessible and inclusive, multi-generational, youth and teen-focused, indoor recreation, fitness and sports, arts, culture, education, really everything, as I reported last month. And then the priorities, again, really lined up between both community activities as well as community spaces. You can see them here. You can see that they're coded to who responded to the different things, and really a nice cross-section. Stakeholder participants were so generous and really participated in more than one round of input, both on the site options as well as the program options. Desert Recreation District, your commissioners, the library, Boys and Girls Club, the senior center, middle schools, the tribal input, both input from program and event providers, performing arts, churches, and your finance advisory committee. Stakeholder input really did reflect a lot of what we heard from the community: inclusive, multi-generational, responsive to the local climate, locally inspired, look for joint opportunities with the library, the senior center, and other programs, central and accessible location, flexible and rentable spaces, a whole cadre of spaces that support things like maker spaces, childcare, arts and performance, as well as recreation, and then that Resiliency Resource Center food bank. Summary of what that program might look like is summarized here, and it really does include something for everyone, from the lobby and reception area to the teen lounge, the community event hall, enrichment classrooms, arts and crafts spaces, gymnasium, as well as dance and fitness studio. This is a slide we did revise since you saw it last time. Really didn't feel like it was communicating the flexibility that we were trying to indicate in the program opportunities that you have. You know, as you look at community spaces as well as recreation spaces, there's many opportunities to do this in different ways. And so we've just kind of created this range that you could do community spaces in a range of 4,500, 25,500 square feet, or look at recreation spaces in this other range. And then we did have the optional enhancements that were also identified. And it really depends on your opportunity and what site you have and where it's located, how you put this together, right? And that's just all we're trying to indicate here, is there is a lot of flexibility on the phasing and the exact program that you choose. The 9 potential sites that we looked at are the same ones that you saw last time, but we do have some additional information based on your direction from our last meeting. We have the same evaluation criteria, which had the prerequisites, and then goes down to the more subjective criteria. As we looked at the evaluation of the sites, on this slide, we've highlighted the ones that we discussed a lot at our study session in January. That includes, as Assistant City Manager mentioned, the old Walmart site, the old Burlington site. We did discuss the library site, as well as the site, which is the city-owned site by the Salvation Army. As we look at the old Walmart site, the availability is, it is now still available. We do have information on the next slide or a subsequent slide that includes some cost information. The size-wise, it's a great size site, over 12 acres, existing buildings, about 117,000 square feet. So there's more than adequate space there, as well as lots of parking. So you can see from this slide, it does check a lot of those boxes. I think the biggest concern we had on our initial review of this was the land cost.
And did we hear what that was?
It's coming up for you. As we look at the old Burlington building, again, available as of last month when we updated this presentation. Nice size site, building size 80,000 square feet, more than adequate, as well as sufficient parking spaces. And again, the land purchase price was our main concern at that point as well, and we do have information on this one as well. We did talk a lot about the library site, so I didn't know unless you had any more information on that or questions about that. I didn't think it was warranted further clarification. This was the one in our initial review that checked the most boxes, having been a city-owned site, concerned with parking, of course, on that one. And the site across from the Salvation Army did check also a lot of the boxes concerned with the cost for infrastructure, since it's not a previously developed site.
So let me ask on this one, because whenever I look at this, what pops out at me is it's marked as not a central location. It's marked under driving and parking and then under residential. So what criteria are we using for?
So a lot of the criteria we used was basically analyzing access for public transportation to your bikeways, where your existing population densities are across the city, not going into as much detail as perhaps we could in the next phase if this was your preferred site, as looking at, you know, future growth areas and densifications that could happen. The sites that had established bike paths, public transit, closer to thoroughfares did rate higher. And so it was actually a software that we used to help rate these sites. And that's where we got this ranking from. happy to share that with you
Yeah,
as
because
well.
I still, I'm just flummoxed. Driving and parking, not a central location. It's,
Well, I'm flummoxed that the nearest bus stops half a mile away when I know it stops right there on Landau.
yes.
And perhaps our information was outdated in the maps that got put in, so we could double check this one.
Yeah, and this, yeah, there's always a lot more to this because I know, I mean, I used to be on Sunline and you're on Sunline. That
And-
this area really is really due for a readjustment of the bus line anyways, but some of the proposed readjustments from Sunline were problematic in the past, but it was meant eventually to serve the Veterans Village, which is
That's-
right here.
It's going to
and-
stay on that main street.
So, yes, so it's problematic, but it's still, because when I see it's not a central location, even in a residential, embedded in a residential neighborhood near a northern population, but not a central location, it's like really, it's pretty, it's pretty much in the core of the city, so.
Single-family homes across the
Yeah, we can certainly revisit it and update it.
Okay, it
With
just keeps
that good
showing up,
input.
and we keep asking, but okay.
Sorry, if I didn't catch that last time, my apologies. As I mentioned, went over this one, definitely the parking was the issue. Summarized where additional parking had initially been proposed that could expand that. This is the site that we were just looking at, and we did do, 3 options for development strategies for this one. It definitely fits nicely, single story up to 27,500 square feet. You can get the whole program on it if you look at a 2-story facility with parking and outdoor space.
So did we look at the site, last time we spoke about an adjacent piece that could be used for the parking?
Yes.
Did we look at that?
Yes, that is identified as we looked at that summary sheet, that there is another city-owned parcel just across the street. Yeah. And so that definitely makes this site check those boxes. I think the reason the 2-story becomes challenging is just for phasing. But if we do consider the site across for the parking, then we could do the single story and 53,000 square feet phased as well.
Okay, thank you, yes.
I think that Ann did give us the update on the Salvation Army.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to share that with the council. I had a recent, well, following our last meeting, I think the day or two after the last council meeting, I had the opportunity to meet with Cynthia from DRD. And she had indicated that she and representatives from the Salvation Army had just had a conversation. So the DRD, in order to program for the summer here in Cathedral City, their biggest challenge has been not having indoor space to do that kind of programming. So I'm not sure who reached out to whom, but they had a great conversation with Salvation Army about potentially using space at their facility. So a week or two ago, myself, Cynthia, the general manager and assistant general manager from DRD, along with the two majors from Salvation Army met. And Salvation Army expressed that they are looking at wanting to better utilize their facility to reach parts of the population that they aren't currently programming for. And there's sort of the separation of programming. They have their faith-based programming, which is one side, but they do a lot of just general community serving programming. So they have an after-school program for grades 1 through 5. They have programming specific to seniors and to the veterans, which is right next door at Veterans Village. But they don't really have things for teens or maybe some other adult programming. They have sports programs in the gymnasium like pickleball and futsal and basketball. And so the synergy between DRD and Salvation Army was really positive. Where we left the conversation when we last met was DRD and the Salvation Army were going to see if they could come to some sense of like what programming hours the DRD could utilize, what could potential programs be. DRD is really looking for that location where they can be very consistent, not like, okay, well, we'll be at this facility one day and somewhere else across the street. As they're trying to make that presence known in our community, they wanted to try to find stability. Salvation Army also offered them an opportunity to
potentially utilize some office space, so that since Salvation Army is open 5 days a week and the library currently is not, Cynthia has to go to other sites for just general office space, so they were offering some of that. So the Salvation Army site is really unique in that it is a community center. I mean, for all intents and purposes, what we are trying to achieve in the community, they have on site. They have a gymnasium, they have multi-purpose room, they have a kitchen, they have a variety of different types of classrooms. And so as we are looking at what our ultimate community center looks like for our city, this is an opportunity to potentially have some shared space that can maybe help fill some of the gaps that we have right now. So we're going to continue to have those conversations, and as additional information becomes developed, it'll be something I will bring back to the City Council for discussion.
I would like to point out that we do not have plans of this facility, and just based on the description that they have a high school basketball court, you can see in the image they have cross courts, that gym is most likely 8,000 to 9,000 square feet. And so our 6,000 square feet here is most likely inaccurate.
It's
So
pretty big.
They use the gymnasium for the basketball, for volleyball, for futsal, and for pickleball, indoor pickleball.
which is great. So additional information on the two sites, the Walmart site and the Burlingame Coat Factory site. The sale price, you can see, 10.5 million. This was online last month, or the end of January is when we collected this information. One of the things to think about as you're looking at what I will call larger box stores is the structural system, right? As we go to the next slide, you can see here's the Burlington site, and the sale price for this is 12 million. And this was pretty consistent when we did our initial research back in October and November. These prices were what was being discussed at that point. One actually went into some kind of sale negotiation, so we thought it was not available. That did fall through, but the prices were similar at that time.
When you say that, though, are they justifiable prices?
I'm not one to judge that.
These are the prices that are listed online, so if anyone was interested in
Sure.
purchasing, this is the list price.
Sure, but you understand that that's a beginning negotiation price too, right? I mean, that's not going to be, nobody holds to the bottom line on a $12 million piece of property. That
Right.
doesn't mean they're going to come down to 8, it just means that there's,
Being that staff are not engaging any kind of negotiations, we're just taking it at face value
wasn't
of what
suggesting
the
you were.
opportunity is.
But consideration is the structural systems for these buildings. And on this plan, these structural grids are typically not of space between the columns to allow the clearance that you would want for a basketball court. And so you would need to go in and do more significant renovation to change that structural system on these bigger boxed areas that you would want for your gymnasium area. They'd be perfectly fine for classrooms. You could make it work. We've actually converted some of these into libraries or to conference centers. So you can make it work for spaces that don't require the clear ceiling height and the clear width of your basketball courts. And that's just to note, because when you look at construction costs and renovation costs, which we've updated this slide for you as well, that's to take into consideration that pro forma that you would develop for your renovation cost. I do want to point out, it looks terribly busy, but I think really if we look at the top half of this, what we want to point out is this total ownership of a property or development cost of a property is what we're trying to share here. And so our construction cost is just that first line. For moderate renovation, 400 to 500, major renovation, 600 to 750, new construction, 800 to 900. But then you have the contractor's overhead. You have furniture, fixtures, and equipment. You have design and engineering cost. All of that goes into your hard cost, and that's then summarized on that next line without even adding site cost in there. And so then you would also add if it's not city-owned, your purchase or lease cost. And so this can be used. We've run a couple of different scenarios at the bottom here, all totally random, just numbers trying to pick a variety of sizes that you might want to consider to give you some sense of what the construction cost and the total project cost would be for these different options. When you get down to the next phase and you're looking at conceptual design, renovation, new purchase, whatever, these can all be refined to reflect that. I hope that was a little more helpful than last time. Again, trying to look at that total cost of ownership. We summarized last time for you comparable operational cost data for 3 facilities, the smaller facility at Thousand Palms, the Palm Desert Community Center at 22,000 square feet, which is kind of the middle one, and then the Indio, which is the larger one. And as you would expect, the smaller the facility, the more expensive it is to operate because you don't have the efficiency of size to spread the overhead cost over. And that's why the small facility, $110 a square foot, the medium is $26 a square foot, and then the larger one is without the special assessment revenue is $26 a square foot, $19 it comes down to with the special assessment.
Yeah, I think you're clarifying, but I know last time this came up, people had questions afterwards because they heard you say that a small facility is more expensive to operate than a larger facility, which is kind of exactly what you said. But you're talking about per square foot, not
square
the
foot.
total of what
Not
it would cost.
in
'Cause
total.
people intuitively say, well, that doesn't make sense that a smaller one
It's per square
costs
foot.
more, but per square foot. So just
Yeah.
to clarify, yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I should slow down. But definitely, it is per square foot. And you can see also the bigger impact is the more programs and services, more revenue opportunity you have with the larger facility can really do a little bit more cost recovery as well. You're more limited in a smaller facility. Same slide that you've seen a couple of times now, just looking specifically at Measure W and just the funding capacity of Measure W as we translate that to an existing owned building with renovation or new construction on a city-owned site. We did not update this, so if you had any questions on this one, again, it's just trying to get you a sense of square footages, the extent that Measure W can fund some of these options. And then just as we're looking at capital cost, summarizing some of the considerations, that land acquisition or leasing costs that I mentioned, ultimate need for square footage. Obviously, when we're looking at 45 to 50,000 square foot need, Measure W is not going to be able to purchase that for us. We summarize some issues or concerns with the library site. The library is interested in working in less square footage and is willing to share and is a great synergy to share with the community center, recreation center. The parking with Big League Dreams is definitely of a concern, and really excited to hear how well your Mary Nutter went this last week. That's always exciting. And then repurposing a portion of the site's landscaping for that parking, and then just really good, exciting news about the Salvation Army, as well as the site adjacent to it, and looking at an interim potential supporting your need with the Salvation Army facility, complementing it potentially with city's facility as well. And then similar from what you saw last time, potential other funding sources, public-private partnerships, public-public partnerships, I think came up last time, grants, philanthropy, and then just the requested action to accept the feasibility study and to get input on next steps.
And I think the work that Dawn and her team have done, they've met all of the requirements that we've had with the contract. So what was not part of their engagement, but will be the next phase of our analysis is really looking at the financial options. We know, and we've, I think, been able to better identify through this exercise how far our Measure W funds will go, and the realization that we know we will need additional funding mechanisms to accomplish what we seek to accomplish. Since the last meeting, Andy and myself and some other staff have had a meeting with one financial consultant. I think we have always, planned for this of just issuing a revenue bond and paying debt service on that, but there are a variety of other mechanisms that can be looked at. Mayor Pro Tem had brought up an idea of a particular developer, looking at having developer fund it and doing a lease back. So there's a lot of different ways that we can approach this. And our next steps from staff are to educate ourselves better and work with somebody to provide those options to the council so that we can talk about what are the next steps. So before we come to a conclusion about specifically where, looking at how we could potentially fund whichever the option is that's selected.
And in addition to that, as you already mentioned, you'll be firming up or working with DRD to firm up the options with the, at least for, I say temporarily, but at least for now.
Yes.
working
And not
with
only with
Salvation Army.
Yeah, and the senior center. I forgot to mention that while they were meeting with the Salvation Army, Cynthia was also having conversations with the senior center because I think a lot of their operations are during the day, and so later in the evening, there's capacity at the center. So that's another potential opportunity of, instead of having, because we don't have one facility, that maybe having two facilities that we can really start programming indoor activities.
Has it not been heard? I mean, I certainly have heard it for a couple of years that their intention is to go to a bigger facility.
Senior Center has been a very active partner in this, and I know there's board members from the Senior Center that can discuss that, but certainly have wanted to be a partner in these discussions. So as we further...
Not speaking specifically, I've heard them say it for several years now, that their intention is, they've grown out of their space.
Yes.
They need something bigger.
And I think that's been part of the discussions we've had of, what are programs that the Senior Center provides, what are programs that DRD provides, how can we best utilize those different activities, those different spaces. So I think nothing is off the table yet. As we look to the future, look to the size of facility, look to what we hope to accomplish based on our community needs, I think there's a lot of opportunities for partnerships, but how that structure would be and what that would look like is yet to be determined as we continue to look at where we want to be and what are other community partners that might come into play for that.
When do you think it's rational or reasonable to come back with an understanding of how much we can borrow and what that finance would, not necessarily borrow, but what the different avenues of getting from A to B would be for us?
What our plan is to, there are several consultants that work in this space and work in this area. And so we need to engage somebody to do that analysis and come back. I don't have a specific timeline right now, but it's kind of after getting direction from the council tonight of any specific requests that you have, we will begin working towards that. It's not something like within the next month or so, but we hope to, again, seek any further input this evening and then work towards that next step to look at what are financing options for us.
She threw
All right.
it back to us.
Other questions or no? So it sounds like you have a plan and that you'll be checking in with us periodically or coming forward when you have
Yes.
another step to,
Yes.
ready to go. All right.
Absolutely.
So if there's nothing else from council, I'll open up to public comments. Are there any public comments on this item?
I did not receive any requests to speak forms, but we do have some members present. We do have
Anybody wish
one,
to
Mr.
speak?
Shelley Kaplan.
Good evening, council. It's been a very long night
Yes.
for all of us, I'm sure. Thank you. I wasn't really planning on speaking this evening. The question came up about DRD and the senior center. They've had a very good conversation. Right now, the senior center is available during the weekends, which DRD was very interested in, and at night, which DRD was very interested in. So I think there's some tremendous opportunities there, at least in the interim, if not in the long term. I definitely appreciate what Ann has indicated in terms of looking at various opportunities. It's clear that additional funding needs to be available from someplace going forward, and it will be good to look at all of the opportunities that are there. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments? Alan Carvalho.
Good evening. Troopers, you guys are troopers. First of all, thank you. We have equal amounts of women and men on this council, which is like never happened before. Okay, so awesome. The other thing I was concerned about is the gay relationship with the Salvation Army has never really been great. So that's the first concern. But I read, okay, I'm just going to read for a second. The Salvation Army states it provides services to all individuals, including the LGBTQ community, without discrimination regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. While historically facing criticism over its stances and lobbying, the organization now affirms its commitment to serving everyone in need. So, as much as I was concerned about that, because we have an image to maintain and we have to include everybody, it's a city concern. That was my first concern. A linkage to religion or linkage to a church. So that optic was of a concern of mine. Just putting it out there. Thank you very much.
Point well taken, and I think we are, in our discussions, we've been very conscious of that, but thank you.
We've been putting that out too.
Yeah, thanks. All right. No other public comments? Back to council. This is a receive and file, but it technically is the end for now of working with C4. I mean, not C4. Group 4. Group 4. It's been a long night. So thank you so much. But if there's nothing else, then we shall receive and file and wait for next steps from city management. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. The next item on our agenda is discussion on future agenda items. And Councilmember Lamb, in your earlier comments, you indicated you would have something for us.
Yes, I wanted to allow for a study session item for the Coachella Valley Disaster Preparedness Network to do a presentation. It's going to be more than 3 minutes for they couldn't fit it in the public comments, but to talk about their contributions to our earthquake preparedness events. So.
And I know they have presented to us before. The last one might have been in public comments when they changed their CEO or their executive person. But they have in the past, and I know they have at Public Safety Committee.
That's right.
So you'll see them there, but it would be appropriate. I would agree. Council consensus would have them come at the appropriate time when it can be scheduled in a study session when we have some time.
We've noted the request and we'll work on scheduling.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right.
Can I just say one more thing? I'm locked out of this building. After a certain amount of time, you can't get in. The elevator doesn't work. So I'm just saying I had to call Shelley just so that you know, if anybody wants to come up after certain hours.
I appreciate that. It's something maybe the clerk and city
Okay, just to let you know.
All right, thank you so much. All right, nothing else for the good of the cause. This meeting is adjourned. Nice job. Thank you.